Welcome to the second video in the series, guys. So, those of you tuning in, this is a series. There's a beginner's approach to guitar pedals, modelers, simulators, and all the tools available to crafting the guitar tone. So, if you've not seen the first video where we built the basic beginner's pedal board, do go check it out. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and notification bell because we are planning to do 10 videos of tackling various concepts of guitar tone building. So before we start, guys, sorry for some background noise. My studio is yet to be soundproofed and there are some kids playing outside, so please apologies for that. In this video we are going to discuss three main concepts or three main terms that a guitar player needs to know and understand when he's crafting his guitar tone. Number one is headroom. Now, headroom is a very simple concept. This was coined primarily because of tube amps. So when you turn up the volume of a tube amp, it's just not a volume increase. There are a lot many things happening inside the circuit, especially the preamp. So headroom, in very plain terms, means till what point does the amp stay clean, beyond which it starts basically going into drive or a distortion kind of a territory. So headroom is basically the point till which the amp stays clean. To demonstrate that, me and my son, we are working on a jam which we are recording for a motorcycle theme, and I'm just gonna play the riff at different volume settings. So I'm going to use a 5-watt tube amp here, which is going into my garage band, and I'm using an SM57. So basically, you'll see what happens when I increase the volume. So there are three different stages which I tried to capture. Hear the difference, so you'll know what headroom is. So at the initial stage, when the volume is very low, the amp will be relatively clean. And as you increase the volume, the drive increases. So let's go check it out, and then let's get on to the second term, which is clipping. Now, clipping. Clipping is nothing but distortion. So, and from a technical standpoint, when you push more current into a circuit than what it can technically handle, you're clipping the circuit. And clipping means, from an audio perspective, it's the distortion. So there are various types of clipping, and that's the reason it's important for a guitar player to understand. First of all, when we are talking about guitar pedals, why do we use pedals? Because that's the concept that one needs to understand. There are two reasons why we need guitar pedals. Number one, when you're clipping the amp by turning up the volume, you have only one sound, one distortion sound, or one type of distortion which is coming in from the preamp and the power section, depending upon what kind of amplifier you're using. So, and to achieve that, you need to crank up the volume quite a bit. And tube amps inherently are extremely loud. Like a 5-watt tube amp that I played through just now, if I crank it up full, because I have an isolation cabinet here, so I'm safe. If I crank it up full, I can't be sitting here in the same room with the cabinet. It'll be that loud. So because of these two reasons, you need external pedals which are achieving that clipping before the signal hits the preamp of the amplifier. And if you look at modelers, simulators, or any gadget that you get, digital gadget, it's striving, it's striving and trying to emulate the same thing. So that's the reason it's important to understand these terms for us. Now, clipping can be achieved with different types of diodes. So it can be germanium, it can be silicon, it can be MOSFET, it can be LED. So these are various types of diodes which are used to achieve clipping in a guitar pedal. But in short, there are three different types of clipping. Four different types actually. I can think of three at this point in time. There's a very small scale clipping which happens maybe in certain boost pedals or even tube screamer when you keep the gain very low. There is a slightly higher stage of clipping which is overdrive territory. There's a third type of clipping which is relatively harder, which is distortion territory. And there's a fourth type of clipping which is real hard clipping, which you can see in fuzz pedals or muff or rat and other things. So that's an area where basically, I mean, it's a different kind of a distortion. So there are four different types of clipping. So from a clipping perspective, let us check out a few samples. What happens when we clip it hard? So let's check out those samples and then come to the third concept of gain staging. Okay, as you saw, clipping, the first clip which or at the first time when I played, I used a hard clip distortion. I used the rat distortion which is there in the pedal board, which you're going to cover in detail in the future videos. So that's a hard clip. So if I use a softer distortion, obviously, I mean, it's going to give me a much mellower distortion. So these are different types of clipping. Now the third term, gain staging. Now, gain staging, again, it's a term which is used very loosely by a lot of people, but from a technical standpoint, from a guitar player's perspective, gain staging is nothing but you're using a different distortion or a different pedal in front of another pedal. That's all that it is. So if I actually, I'm going to play a clip now, the same riff, I'm going to use the same rat distortion, but I'm going to put the clone in front of it. And you'll see that the rat distortion basically lacks little bit of definition because it's very mid-scooped, and it is also a little deficit on the treble side. So, but the moment I put the clone in front of it, you will see a lot of those definitions coming back. So that is gain staging. So to summarize the video, headroom is nothing but till what stage your amp is clean, at what stage it's actually starting to get into the breakup zone and then ultimately into an overdrive zone. So the magic is using your volume knob on the guitar to control it when you're playing it in a jam scenario or a gigging scenario. Second is clipping. Clipping is nothing but distortion, pushing more current into the circuit than it can handle so that the sound gets distorted. That's where the guitar drive pedals come in. Different types of clipping. We covered that in the previous section. Soft clip, hard clip, harder clip, and maybe a fuzz clip. So that's your own. These are the definitions coined by me, so you can get your own definitions or make your own definitions. And gain staging is nothing but pedal stacking. It's as simple as that. So Stay tuned, guys, for the future videos. We're going to cover each of the pedals, the type of pedals that we put in the pedal board, and then ultimately go into modular territory and then simulator territory. Thank you so much for tuning in, and rock on.